History isn't what you were taught. Real governments approved ideas that sound insane, real scientists defended fake discoveries, and real intelligence agencies turned absurdity into policy. None of this is fiction. And once you hear these stories, you'll ask the same thing everyone does. What on earth were they thinking? Britain almost built an aircraft carrier made of ice. Project Habakkuk, 1942 to 1943. During World War II, the Allies faced a terrifying strategic problem. In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean lay the so-called Atlantic Gap, a stretch of water beyond the reach of Allied air cover. German U-boats hunted supply convoys there almost uncontested, sinking ships loaded with food, fuel, and troops. Losses mounted, and solutions were scarce. Then, British engineer and unconventional thinker Geoffrey Pike proposed something that sounded absurd: build a massive aircraft carrier out of ice. Not ordinary ice, but a reinforced composite called pikecrete, a mixture of water and wood pulp. Tests showed it was remarkably strong, melted very slowly, and could even withstand gunfire. Project Habakkuk envisioned a floating island up to 2,000 feet long, longer than any ship ever built. It would carry aircraft, hangars, crew quarters, and an internal refrigeration system to keep it frozen. This was not just a concept on paper. A working prototype was actually constructed in Canada on Patricia Lake, and it survived for years, even through summer heat. The project had serious backing. Winston Churchill personally supported it, and naval planners produced real blueprints and budgets. Habakkuk was eventually canceled, not because it was ridiculous, but because it was expensive, slow to build, and soon made unnecessary by longer-range aircraft. Still, the fact remains, Britain nearly built a warship made of ice. If a modern military announced a plan like this today, would you call it genius or madness? The dead man with a briefcase who fooled Nazi Germany. Operation Mincemeat, 1943. In 1943, Allied forces were preparing to invade Europe. Their real target was Sicily, but success depended on convincing Germany the invasion would happen elsewhere. British intelligence devised one of the strangest deception plans in history. They obtained the body of Glyndwr Michael, a Welshman who had died alone and unclaimed. He was dressed in a Royal Marines uniform and given a new identity: Major William Martin. His pockets were carefully filled with everyday personal items: love letters from a fictional fiancé, receipts, keys, photos. Everything needed to create a believable life. Handcuffed to his wrist was a briefcase containing fake top-secret documents outlining a false Allied invasion plan. The body was released off the coast of Spain near Huelva, an area known for German intelligence activity. The plan worked perfectly. Spanish authorities passed the documents to the Germans, who analyzed them and concluded they were genuine. German forces were redeployed to the wrong locations, weakening defenses in Sicily. The Allied invasion succeeded in part because a corpse carrying fake papers convinced the enemy to move their armies. If wars can be influenced by a dead man in a briefcase, how many victories were decided far from the battlefield? A fake fossil that fooled science for nearly 40 years. The Piltdown Man, 1912 to 1953. In 1912, Britain announced a stunning scientific discovery: a fossil that appeared to be the long-sought missing link between apes and humans. Known as the Piltdown Man, the skull had a human-sized brain but a primitive jaw, exactly what scientists of the era expected early humans to look like. The discovery was celebrated. Museums displayed reconstructions, textbooks referenced it, and debates about human evolution revolved around it for decades. Doubts existed from the beginning. The anatomy was odd, the teeth suspiciously worn, but the find fit too neatly into prevailing theories and national pride. In 1953, new testing methods finally revealed the truth. The skull was human. The jaw belonged to an orangutan. The teeth had been deliberately filed down. It was a complete forgery. For nearly 40 years, one fake fossil distorted scientific research worldwide. If even science can cling to a false discovery for decades, how many facts do we accept today simply because they feel right? The man who sold the Eiffel Tower. Paris, 1925. Con artist Victor Lustig understood bureaucracy better than most officials. He knew the Eiffel Tower was expensive to maintain and that its future was quietly debated within government circles. Using forged documents and official-looking letters, Lustig arranged a confidential meeting with major scrap metal dealers at a luxury Paris hotel. He claimed the French government intended to sell the Eiffel Tower for scrap, but wanted to avoid public backlash. One businessman believed him and paid a substantial bribe to secure the deal. Lustig vanished shortly afterward. According to some accounts, he even attempted the scam a second time before suspicion caught up with him. The tower, of course, still stands, and the story remains one of the boldest frauds ever attempted. The fairy photos that fooled an entire nation. Cottingley, England, 1917 to 1921. Two cousins, Elsie Wright and Frances Griffiths, took photographs that appeared to show tiny fairies dancing in a garden. The figures were nothing more than paper cutouts pinned in place, but the images were surprisingly convincing for the era. The story gained national attention when Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes, became a vocal supporter of their authenticity. The photos were published, discussed, and defended by adults, journalists, and intellectuals alike. Decades later, the girls admitted the truth. The photos were staged, but at the time, photography was considered undeniable proof, and people believed what they wanted to believe. The day cats fell from the sky. Sarawak, Borneo, 1960. In the late 1950s, pesticide use in the British colony of Sarawak wiped out local cats. With no natural predators left, rat populations exploded, threatening food supplies and spreading disease. Officials chose an extraordinary solution: airdrop cats. In 1960, British aircraft parachuted 23 live cats into remote villages, along with over 3 tons of supplies. Villagers watched cats descend from the sky and caught them as they landed. The plan worked. Rats declined, and balance was restored, but the method remains one of the strangest environmental interventions ever recorded. 500,000 fleas as a weapons test. Operation Big Itch, United States, 1954. During the Cold War, the U.S. military explored every possible weapon, including insects. In Operation Big Itch, aircraft dropped containers holding approximately 500,000 live fleas to test whether they could survive deployment and spread effectively. During one test, a container malfunctioned inside the plane. Thousands of fleas escaped and immediately began biting the crew. The experiment proved its own effectiveness and its danger. The project was abandoned, but the reports remain. Fleas were seriously considered as delivery systems for disease. A government that stored human smell in jars. Stasi, East Germany. East Germany's secret police, the Stasi, developed a chilling surveillance method, collecting and storing human scent. During interrogations or raids, officers secretly gathered items saturated with sweat: cloth, clothing, furniture, padding. These samples were sealed in jars, labeled, and archived. If a suspect needed to be tracked months or even years later, dogs were given the scent. Thousands of these jars existed. Today, they are displayed in museums, physical evidence of a state built on total control.